Hi, good evening on day 84 of our 99 days. Today I want to talk about a little bit of everything around the fact that you feel stuck in certain areas. And I probably have touched upon all these little differences or little things that come up now. But it might be useful always to do something again. And somehow how my day went, it didn't feel good to continue on the topic of relationship. I was a little tired, or am a little tired today, and I have some physical challenges by being bitten by something, so I rush everywhere. So it's quite also interesting how to deal with physical discomfort and how to ease your mind or actually ease your body when that happens. So I spent some time on that today. And this morning I also posted, because I've noticed this a few times within me over the past years, that every time I get annoyed with a teacher, a person I'm following online or been to in retreats or whatever, and then after a period of time, I kind of get tired of the way of talking or the way of sharing, or something else bothers me, or something in the characteristics of that person bothers me, or so let's just call this annoyance. And that's really a fascinating learning moment when you become aware when you get annoyed with something or someone, because actually that's a huge a good moment for change. Because if you are, let's say this example of the teacher, if you're following someone for a while, then everybody has his own style. So you kind of get, you're already familiar with the teachings and you are familiar with the style. And then it makes sense that you've kind of outgrown your teachers all the time. I really don't believe that you can stick with one teacher all your life, because then, honestly, I don't think you're sharp enough to stay focused and stay curious as well, because every teacher just repeats his perspective or his viewpoint. And of course, the same counts for me. So by the time I get into this, when I notice I'm getting a little bit annoyed, I know that the phase with the teacher is ending, but I also know that what I'm annoyed with should also still be resolved, because it hasn't happened before. But then I don't have any learnings from the content anymore. So then I'm gonna unconsciously, almost, I'm focusing them more on the style or the way he or she shares himself. And then that suddenly becomes, I don't know, boring, I guess, or not so exciting anymore. And then something else, then you go kind of in judgment, and then I just kind of, oh yeah, this is the same thing again. Or why does he or she do this now? And she always does that, or he always does that. But still, in that being annoyed about something, there's still a blind spot for yourself. There's still something. You can always ask yourself, why am I annoyed here? Why can't I just receive it without any new knowledge, but still receive it open-heartedly and compassionate? And then actually it is like, because you've kind of outgrown the teacher, you kind of get to the same level. And then so actually I come to a point then, like, okay, now it's up to me. Now I have to make my next step to share more of myself, or share differently, or step up, or whatever the challenge is in that moment. And that actually counts also for other teachers, mentors, or the boss you're working for, or there can always be a moment where you think like, okay, I've learned enough here. It's time to change. It's time to to be inspired by someone else, to be facilitated by someone else, or to be guided by someone else. And Joseph Campbell is really writing beautifully about this, that the mentor is always temporarily with you until you've learned enough, and then the next one shows up. And I honestly not only believe it, I've experienced it. And I think it's necessary to stay sharp and curious. Otherwise, you get lazy, and then things just become a new normal again. And then you don't have anything to think about or challenge yourself with. And another way to actually challenge yourself is to really, I've done it also for a few periods at a time, to just really go for news items that are actually completely opposite your own belief system. So really dive into things that you might get really annoyed with, and then just literally open up and just feel like and sense like, okay, what's here to learn from me? What is annoying actually for me, or what don't I agree with, and why don't I agree with it? Can I look at differently at the same thing? So that's a if you either get annoyed, or you get not inspired anymore, or you kind of get bored by people around you, and I don't mean the friends, but obviously people who inspire you, or people at work or colleagues, then to me it's a big signal for change. It's time to change and to add something to your life, or to create something that's new to you. But not everybody is likes to change. And that's also an interesting, because if you don't like to change, it doesn't necessarily have to do with lack beliefs. You might not even have looked in the theme change itself. I mean, obviously, when you change, there are new challenges coming up, and that might cause some lack beliefs coming up to the surface, or some insecurities within you. But just changing itself without any lack belief, like you're moving from one house to the other house, you're buying a new house, or you're just moving your house, or you're going to live in a new environment, doesn't necessarily in itself has to do anything with lack beliefs. I mean, you're not insecure because you're going to move to another city. You might be a little bit insecure because you don't know people there, and you have to start building your life again. But that's not so much a lack belief. That's more like a lack of curiosity, or a lack of openness to new input. And then it really makes me curious, what is it that you don't like about change? What is it that, if life is the same every day, in and out, and 7 days a week, and 365 days a year, why is that okay? Why is that okay after many years? And there are small changes probably happening, but why is it okay to just keep doing what you were doing? Is it really the fear of that choosing something new might create the fear that the expectation is not met? And then where does the expectation come from? So what in you is already thinking about, or creating this expectation, or even know how it will be like? And can you then, if there are expectations, can you then let go of that, or look at different ideas what might happen if you change, positive things? So if you know deep inside that you need to change something in your life, and most likely with all of you going through these 99 days, there will be something within your system that's like, okay, I gotta move something. I got to change something, whether it's a habit, whether it's an environment, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, whether it's eating patterns, whatever it is, something most likely has to change. And if you keep postponing that, or if you keep fearing that, if you really are fearful about that, then the mind gets really in an overload mode. Because then you try to fix this problem around change, you try to fix it in the mind. So the need for change comes always from within. There's something within you that kind of like, okay, I feel restless, or it feels uncomfortable, or I need to move something. That's really something that just comes from within your deeper self. It seldom is coming from the mind, other than that's a rational change, in the sense like, well, it's time for a new job because I want to earn more money, or I need to work on my career. But I mean, really, this thing inside that like creates this restlessness, that's coming always from the inside. And then your mind comes in with the interpretations and the assumptions. And then the whole circus starts with the busy mind. And the more restless you get inside, the more busy the mind gets. So you kind of get into this problem where you can't really move anymore, because your mind takes over and comes up with so many arguments, and that creates more uneasiness on the inside. So how to break through this? How to break through this moment where you just feel like, okay, I have to move, but I cannot move anymore. I don't know to go back or forth or stay, but something needs to happen. And just keep asking yourself the questions like, what do I fear? That's actually the core question at each time. What do I fear here? Why I can't move? What do I fear here? What my mind is protecting me from? Because it's a protection work that the mind is doing. And can you try to just embrace your mind instead of resisting the overactive mind? Can you just embrace the mind like, okay, thank you for all this information. Thank you for all these assumptions, interpretations, belief system. And instead of resisting it, because if you resist it, it will only get stronger. If you resist the inner feeling for change and you keep resisting it, it will get stronger. So can you surrender and embrace and ask yourself, what's the fear here? Or what's the insecurity here? And how true is that? Is it really a fear that makes sense, that can truly happen? Or how much is the percentage that can happen? And then I would literally say, just breathe into it. If something comes up, like this is the fear that comes up, or this is the uneasiness that comes up, then really, if you don't even have words added to that picture, then just breathe into that where it feels blocked in your system. Very often it's blocked in the stomach. It feels like this stone in the stomach that's there. And you have to breathe in deeply. And that's also when you have an overactive mind because of other reasons, not because of change. Well, it always is in the end about change, because it's always underneath it. Something needs to happen, and that makes the mind overactive. And it really is surrender deeply, deeply, deeply into that moment, and just wait, perhaps for days or perhaps for weeks, until something clears up or becomes clear to you, or it just becomes more easy, and then the change might just come naturally. So it might not be like waking up like, oh, now I'm ready for the change. It might also be like, no, it's just stop resisting the fact that you don't like change, and either look at the fear underneath it. And if there's not a clear fear, then just breathe into that feeling that you feel inside when you think about change. Just breathe into that. We don't always need words to explain what's happening. We can really work with the body, who knows enough and who gives enough signals to indicate discomfort or indicate pain or indicate fear. And breathing is the most powerful way to release, to create space. And you can breathe into any area in your body. So you can really redirect your mind and think that you're breathing in a certain area, or at least creating space in a certain area. And that's already where the breath goes then. And when you're restless and when you are thinking about things that needs to change, or you really desire to make a move or to make progress, and nothing is happening because you only get more frustrated or so busy in the mind, but you never get to anything, you never really get into creation mode, then it's just time to deepen again. And I keep repeating that, and I keep repeating that, because apparently something is not clear yet. So if your mind is overactive and you have amazing creative ideas, but you can't get the ideas onto something that moves towards manifestation, then apparently the system is so restless that the first time, there's first time needed to ease and to deepen and to surrender and to breathe and to breathe and to breathe and to connect and to connect and to connect deeply within. So don't get restless about this phase where things might need to change or might need to become clear to you, because it will happen sooner or later when you surrender to it. And surrender is a very illogical thing to the mind. Very illogical, because the mind wants to organize things. The mind wants to know how things happen. The mind wants to be prepared for things that come. And surrender is the opposite, because you don't know what's coming. You just trust it's coming. And some of you ask me how to deal with the fact that sometimes the mind is super creative and gives you lots of new ideas and new directions and clarity, and then it's not coming in the right moment to do anything in that moment with it, practically. But then when the moment comes there, that you sit behind your desk and you can actually do something, then suddenly all the ideas are gone and nothing comes out of your hands. And then that still is an overload. That's the same answer. It still is an overload in the system. You have to ease down the system. It's like the system has, well, for most of us, has been neglected for, and the system, I mean the complete body, has been neglected for many years. We haven't really felt aligned with our body. So we haven't really paid attention to all the signals. And now suddenly we think that we completely understand the body and that it shows us the way and that everything should be done actually in a split second. And obviously you don't think that, but that's what you desire. That's what you want. But you first need to take time to know your system, to know your body, and to recognize it at a deeper level in order to move with it, in order to really give space to the body to well, like the dust is settling down, like, okay, it has to ease down. And it really helps to do exercises like yoga or something which is not very high active, but more like opening the body, like stretching and breathing deeply. It really helps in this phase to do that, to take up that practice. And if you haven't done that before, I would definitely recommend you to do something like that. Because it really helps to activate the electricity, actually, the electricity signals in the body to give space there, to create space. And when the body has more space, the mind also comes to rest, weirdly enough. And then there comes more clarity in the mind. Because the mind is also protecting the body. Because it's protecting your whole system. You know, the fight-flight reaction is a very habitual, how do you say that? How do you say that? It's a reaction, comes deeply from within without thinking. But for the rest, the mind, for all the other things, the mind is just really busy protecting your body and yourself. And often in a weird way and very ineffective, but that's what it's used to do. So to ease the mind, we first have to ease the body. And to embrace the mind, actually, to stop resisting the busy mind. Just be okay with it. It's busy. Okay, fine. It's busy. Be busy. I'll focus on the body first, and you can be busy while I'm focusing on the body. Don't get annoyed by it. And if you do get annoyed, ask yourself, why am I annoyed here? Well, then you probably say, like, I want to have the mind easy. Well, it doesn't get easy by commanding it. It really doesn't. It only gets easy by embracing something. Like I said before, anything you resist persists. Anything you resist persists. So something you don't like, stop resisting it. Annoyance is the same as actually resisting something. Stop resisting it. And ask, why is it? Or what is it that's annoying me? So try to see if this is obviously a thing for you now. I don't know where you all are in the same moment. But if it comes up, remind this session to just ease, surrender, open up, create space. And that creates a more quiet mind, a more clear mind as well. Okay, well, that's for today. And I'll see you back tomorrow. Okay, bye.